I've had this problem before.
Okay, so now we're recording. Michelle, can you join us?
I'm trying to join you here. No, can't start the video because host has.
Okay, we're all being recorded, so everyone behave. And we're gonna go live on Facebook with a little luck. And it says I can add a title, but I don't see where. Okay. Okay, can anyone else check Facebook on either Resonance, the Fauquier Young Enterprise Program, or the Fauquier Enterprise Center page and see if they can see if we're live? I think I pushed all the right buttons, but I'm not seeing it. If anyone is out there watching and we are live, we are having a little technical difficulty and waiting on one panelist who should be here momentarily. Let me see what I can see here. Says we are live.
Jen, I'm not seeing it on Resonance website, Facebook.
I'm not either.
And I'm on Fauquier Enterprise Center's site and I don't see it there.
All right. I think Zoom is lying to me. I see a live producer. Now I have so many windows up. Let's see here. Although I am seeing my preview, and it's not live. It's got about a 30-second delay.
Well, there's going to be a delay.
I see Michelle now. Okay. Okay, well now I do see it. It says going live in just a minute.
Good.
Okay, well I say we go ahead without Joe. I'm not seeing him yet and it's 2:35. So I'm gonna put you guys in the hot spot. Anyway, we are recording this. I am gonna put the video out. Hopefully everything will work technologically speaking like it should. I know everybody is mad Zooming lately and we're all learning all the quirks and kinks that have to come with Zoom. I feel like I should have been doing this a long time ago so that I'd know more, but I think we're all pretty much in the same boat. But this is the Fauquier Young Entrepreneurs Program, and we have a grant from PATH that was meant to focus entrepreneurial education toward our high schoolers who are interested in starting a business, but learning more about what it means to start a business here in Fauquier County. Who are the people you need to know? What are the policies you need to know? What's it like having a business here? Who can you go to? How can you have a voice? How can you have a say? And so I thought one of the first things we did since we switched virtually would be to introduce everybody to the chamber. So for any of you watching, you're welcome to share these links. We're going to do it every Thursday at 2:30 for about an hour, and learning more about business and local business. And we have our Fauquier County Chamber of Commerce Board President here, or Board Chairman. We also have the Micro Enterprise Council Co-Chair, Michelle Coe, with us. And I'm sorry, the Board Chairman, you have a name too. I didn't introduce you, Chris Coots. We will also be having join us a little bit later is Joe Martin, who is the Chamber's President. So thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So Chris, I'm going to throw you in Joe's hot seat just to tell us a little bit about what is a Chamber of Commerce in general. What is a chamber meant to do? How is it part of the community, and how does it help business?
Sure. And thanks for that welcome, Jen. The Chamber of Commerce, there are chambers of commerce set up in different communities across the state of Virginia and across the country as well. And each chamber of commerce is, it's best to think of them as like a nonprofit organization that is there to support the needs of local businesses and local industries in the area. The Fauquier Chamber of Commerce serves business and industry within Fauquier County, but also in the broader Fauquier regions. We have members from outside Fauquier County as well. But you know, our focus is really to support business and industry. So, and that means a lot of different things, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more. But it's primarily to be a voice for people who are running their businesses, people who are managing businesses, people who work for business and industry, and nonprofits in the region. So we're trying to follow what's happening with the law and the legal and policy stuff coming from Richmond and stuff coming from Washington, D.C., and try to get that information out to our members. But we also try to hear from business and industry about, you know, what's going on in the local region, what kinds of skills do you need, what kinds of resources, what kinds of new businesses are growing, and provide support for that. So the Chamber of Commerce is really the voice for business. I think it's probably the best way to explain that.
Great, thank you. Do you mind explaining a little bit more about how you're the voice when it comes to the voice of business within government? How does that work?
Within government?
Yes.
So
you go speak to the town and the county, and you're the voice, but you're representing, you know, hopefully hundreds, maybe thousands of businesses at once, and nonprofits. Yeah,
absolutely. So as I said, each region and county has a chamber of commerce, or several. The Fauquier Chamber has more than 500 members, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but primarily small micro businesses in the region. A lot of our members are people who've started the business themselves, or small family businesses, and others. So, you know, what we do within the Fauquier Chamber, for example, is we will work very, very closely with the town and county leadership. And we have people from the county, from the town of Warrenton and other towns in our area who actually serve on our board. We use that term ex officio, which is legal term for they come and represent the county and the town on the Chamber of Commerce board and share what's going on with the town and the county. And we also then are able to talk to them about, hey, what's happening with this tax issue or this law about getting a business license or getting support. So that's where a lot of the local conversations take place. We also and Joe Martin, who's the president, could talk a little bit more about this, but we often go as a group to Richmond, and we have close relationships with our local legislators. So we're talking to our delegates and legislators about issues that are important to us so that they represent us in Richmond when making the rules and the laws and budgets and everything else like that. So there is also a Virginia Chamber of Commerce. So all of our smaller chambers are part of the larger Virginia Chamber, and that Virginia Chamber has a lot of influence and works very closely with legislators in Richmond as well. So it happens kind of locally, and then it happens on a bigger scale as well.
Okay, well, great. Thank you for that. I know we have Miles is also here now. He's our Director of Economic Development in Fauquier County. Miles, I just want to say hello. I believe I gave you the ability to speak. If you just want to say hi.
I always wanted the ability to speak.
Don't make me take it away. But
Just
we're
a
glad you're
greeting
here.
to everybody. A greeting to everybody, and to say that in Fauquier County, our department is responsible for supporting businesses. That's what we do. And this program is part of what we do, as well as many other programs. If you're interested in knowing more about what government does for entrepreneurs and small businesses, please do contact us, and Jennifer can get you our contact information.
Well, Miles, actually, I'm going to put you in the hot seat too, because we are missing Joe as of right now. So would you mind telling us maybe a couple minutes about how Fauquier County interacts with the Chamber of Commerce from your side of it? Chris told us a little bit about how the Chamber interacts with government. Can you tell us from your side what that interaction looks like?
Sure. The Chamber plays a vital role in being a voice for business. Our department serves the same function, but in different ways. So it's a natural partnership. The Chamber, although it speaks of 500 some odd members, also does quite a bit that addresses the needs and interests of the greater business community at large. For us, that's a vital source of connecting us with the business community for a couple of reasons. One, they have direct means to reach the business community. And two, to be quite frank, lots of businesses don't really trust government. So when we say we're here from the government to help you, sometimes you can see the eye roll almost immediately. So the Chamber gives us that access to the business community, as well as a partner who's got resources. I mean, you've got two of them right here in the current chairman of the board and the head of the Micro Enterprise Council, and the tremendous things they're doing for businesses that complement and support what we do. Now, I've been in communities as a consultant where the Chamber and the local government did not get along all that well, and that doesn't really serve anybody effectively. But as a rule, chambers are great partners with local government, and ours is one of the best I've worked with. So you look for resources as an entrepreneur. What are the resources out there? If you're lucky enough to have a local government and a chamber that both care about you and that can work together, and how do we work together? We survey businesses, we have meetings, we put on events together. And like right now during the COVID-19 crisis, we're meeting regularly every Monday afternoon to share information and to be sure we're getting good information out to our businesses. And we have different networks. So, the Chamber might say, hey, we just heard from the Virginia Association of Chamber of Commerce executives about this new program that could help our businesses. And then I, for example, just got off a conference call with the Virginia Department of Agriculture, which is trying to adapt some of their programs to help ag-related businesses, which, by the way, includes wineries and breweries and farmers markets and other ag-related businesses. So, we share this kind of information, and that helps the business community and helps us. So anybody who offers that kind of interactive partnership, and Chris Chris and Michelle both wear multiple hats. Although I'm the only one of the group today currently wearing a cap. I'm wearing I'm alternating Capitals hats and Nationals hats as we pine away for the seasons that are lost at the moment. But Chris, for example, represents the community college, which is another great partner, and that fits nicely with that overall partnership. Michelle has her own business, and it's a terrific small business and understands the needs of small businesses in a way that a lot of government people don't. And so that's a huge help. So those are some of the ways we work together. We see it as a mutually reinforcing relationship.
Excellent. Thank you. Chris, I'm going to go ahead. I know we had sort of a pre-written program of questions and answers here, but I'm going to go ahead and go down to your original section, which was to allow you to talk about what it's like to be the chairman, what your specific goals were for our businesses and for the chamber during your time as chairman. And is that a one-year chairmanship?
It is a one-year term. So last year I was the chair-elect and was able to work with the chair last year. But this year, this is my year to be chair. I don't, at part of the board and part of the chair, I don't speak for the chamber necessarily, but I am, once the board gets together and decides, we all look at the different issues or the recommendations that are coming forward from one of our committees, and then we discuss it within the board, and then we make a decision and we pass that along, and then that becomes the voice of the chamber. So being part of the board means really listening to a lot of what our committees are doing and a lot of what our board members are doing. Our committees, we have a number of different committees. We have a young professionals committee, which works with young professionals in the community and helps support them. And it's a pretty fun group. We also have the Economic Development Legislative Affairs Committee. So that's the committee that really looks at economic development issues, works with the legislature, looks at tax and policy issues, and sends us recommendations. So on the board, and there are several other committees that I haven't mentioned as well, but on the board, it's really a great discussion because you've got so many good people on so many good committees who are hearing from business and industry, and they're putting forward recommendations of how the chamber could help. My goal this year and what I really focus on, as Miles said, I work at the community college, which is kind of a nonprofit education college. So with that in mind, I'm very, very focused on workforce development and skills development, and how can we help people train for jobs, train for the skills that they need, but also move ahead in the jobs that they've got or the business that they're running or developing. And that's what we're all about. So I've really focused and worked with the board this year to say, how can we focus on that? And it's not just about providing education. The real goal, the real thing that's driving all of this is we, in this county, in this region, we have got to get people to live and work locally. We have so many great, incredible skills and education. The people who live here are just second to none in terms of the skills that they've got and the experience they've got. And yet sometimes people, especially young people, want to move away and live somewhere else or work somewhere else. And, so what we want to do is really not only help people get the skills that they need, but help make this county and the surrounding counties and the region a great place to live and work, so that you can bring those skills and that experience and work here. You can start your business here, or you can join an existing business here, and you can feel comfortable and enjoy that as well. So really the focus for the chamber this year is on that, of kind of building and developing our local workforce. I have to add, as soon as we start talking about that, we start talking about affordability and affordable housing, and how can you build and how can we develop and encourage the development of more affordable housing for people who are starting out, or people who want to downsize. It's all people in a lot of different stages of their career are looking for assistance with that. So that's something else that the chamber is looking at this year.
That's a lot. That's a lot for 1 year. A lot of big things.
Yeah, it all comes. It does all come down to how can we as a chamber provide the skills and the training and the professional development that helps our businesses thrive.
So when you have big goals like that for a 1 year term, what's the first step you take?
Well, so we, and we started out. We got a wonderful board. We've got wonderful partners in the community who are doing the work. So part of it is just getting people together and saying, hey, who's doing what and how can we work together? I'm very, very big on collaboration and partnerships because honestly, there is so much great stuff going on and there's no point in reinventing the wheel. Then about a month ago, the world turned upside down,
A little bit.
And so suddenly, some of the grand plans and the goals that we have had to kind of shift. They're going to come back because people more than ever now need help and support and resources. And so we, it's going to come back, but in the meantime, a lot of our local businesses are really struggling right now. They're trying to understand how they can find their clients, how they can find resources to pay staff if they've got people working with them. And so, it's a difficult environment. So in the last month or so, we've shifted to priority number one is how can we help people, local businesses get the resources just to get through this immediate crisis. So that like you said, there's a big goal, but there's also a challenge that's in front of us right now, and we're not through it yet. We can see some signs of light at the end of the tunnel, but everything's changed. We'll see that.
It has changed. I'm glad you're seeing light at the end of the tunnel because I'm seeing a lot of posts on social media. It does not sound like a lot of people are seeing that light, but it is there. This won't last forever. And it's good that you're here. And I want to welcome Joe Martin, who has joined us. I made you a co-host so that hopefully you can begin, started your video so we can see you. Hopefully you have the ability to speak as well. And you're ready, you can unmute yourself. If you want to say hello, we went ahead with the program. But we definitely want to back up and ask you to talk a little bit more in depth about the Fauquier Chamber. Chris told us about chambers in general and what they do in the community. If you could tell us more about the Fauquier Chamber, when and how it got started and where it is now, that would be really helpful, and talk about your membership.
Sure, and I apologize for jumping in late, just too many back-to-back meetings and overflow, but yeah, it's yeah, we're all about zoomed out, but well, I'm actually entering or in the middle of my 10th year as president of the Fauquier Chamber, and a lot of chambers are the same, and I heard a little bit of what Chris was talking about, and to a certain extent they resemble each other, but everyone is different because every community is different. Fauquier is different from Prince William. Fauquier is different from Culpeper. So we really try to tailor our events, our committees, our councils, everything that we do to the uniqueness of our community, and really supporting those in and around the Fauquier area. One thing I always share too is that 10 years ago, we took county out of our name, because the Fauquier Chamber of Commerce, as we all know, we're living in a regional economy as well as a global economy. So we have members in Prince William, and Rappahannock, and Culpeper, Stafford, all the areas outside of our county borders, if you want to call it that. So we just we look at all the different ways that we can support our business community and our community as a whole. We have a lot of fun, exciting events. A lot of them right now are virtual, but we have a lot of ways for, the key thing with a chamber is networking. And every event, whether it's a legislative event, whether it's a micro enterprise event, whether it's a Valor Awards, we always try to have a networking component at the beginning of it, because people want to do business with people they know and they trust. And the best way to do that is to build relationships. So networking is a strong component of everything we do. But we put together luncheons per month, after hours per month. We're actually going to have a virtual after hours this evening. We have very vibrant councils, and I don't know how much Michelle talked to this. I apologize coming in late, but we try to focus on segments of our community that are unique and very identifiable to our community. Our Women's Business Council is one. We have a lot of women-owned businesses and women in business in our community. We have a Young Professionals Council, the Micro Enterprise Council that Michelle runs. We also focus on different areas of our community. We do a spring festival every year that really is focused on our arts and crafts, our business to consumer members and businesses in the community. And I mentioned the Valor Awards before. That's where we honor our fire and rescue, police, or public safety folks who have gone over and above the call of duty. So we try to focus all of our activities on not just the business community, but all of our community as a whole. We have a very vibrant economic development and legislative affairs committee that looks at any issues that are out there that are pertinent to our business community, and we vet it and we make a decision through a parliamentary process if we're going to support or not support whatever that situation might be, whether it's local government, county government, or state. And we have a great relationship with our elected officials, constant communications with them and with the county staff as well. Great relationship with community development, excellent relationship with the economic development department. So just trying to keep everything, and communication is the key to everything. If we know what's coming down the line, then we can best look at it from a chamber and from a business community and make the right decisions on how we can best help our local governments to make the right decisions and continue that communication down the line.
Thank you. If I can ask you, so if someone came to you and said, I want to start a business in Fauquier County today, what would you tell them? How would you instruct them to go from there? Or what advice would you give?
Well, we have a lot of resources. Economic development is sometimes the first place that I direct somebody to. We have a lot of support through our LFCC, SBDC. We have a lot of organizations that are tied in with the chamber, and it depends on the structure of the business. If they're looking at starting a not-for-profit, I'm going to directly refer them to the PATH Foundation.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 minute, just because you're giving some alphabet soup that I don't think most people know what it is. The LFSBDC would be the Lord Fairfax Small Business Development Center. So I just want
Lord Fairfax Community College.
We all talk the soup, but since we're live and other people will be watching, I just wanted to spell that out. But go ahead.
And I was 3 years in the government contracting arena, and that's all they do is talk acronyms. So yeah. Thank you for stopping me on that. But we so at that point, when someone's looking to start a new business, we want to get them to the right resources where the experts that can help them start that. A chamber kind of comes in after they've gotten themselves up and running, and we help them to network, to get connected, to find the other resources that they need. Because it's not just getting your licensing together, is getting things along those lines, but it's also you might need an accountant, you might need a lawyer, you might need no, I shouldn't say might, you will. So we have quite a strong membership in all those arenas that we can connect those people to.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's the biggest thing, is when someone's starting a business through our chambers, we want to be that connector. We want to make sure that we're connecting them to all the right resources that they need, whether it's licensing and on the government side, or whether it's on the services side.
Well, I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to see if other people have any questions, and then we're going to move on to Michelle. But let's say that person who came to you and said, we're going to start a business, and you say, you know, you're going to give them the resources that will help them get started. But then they come back and they say, okay, why should I join a chamber of commerce, or why should I join your chamber of commerce? What's your answer?
Well, I think I alluded to that before. It's the connectivity side is the biggest thing, and we have so many variety of members that our new members or existing members can connect with. And one of the things that I always say, it's not a matter of who you know, but who they know. So, and Jennifer, you're one that I know has a great sphere of influence. So a chamber member that's introduced to you, for example, is going to be connected with quite a sphere of influence than they would just, you know, meeting an individual. So a lot of that is what brings the value of our chamber membership, and all the things all the type of events. And one thing I didn't mention was the different types of committees that we have. All the years that I've been involved in the chamber world, which are many, I built some of my best relationships getting involved in committees, whether it's committees for events, whether it's committees for economic development, or different types of committee, all the different types of committees that we have. You sit in those committee meetings and you build relationships. And that is one of the biggest values, I think, that a chamber has, and especially our chamber, because we have a huge volunteer base of folks that really love this community and put their heart and soul into this community. And those are the kind of folks you want to network with and get connected with.
I agree, and I'll add just a little bit of input. I was part of a business years and years ago that was a chamber member, but not actively so. So we didn't come to any of the events. We didn't do any of the networking. You know, basically we were paying the fee to be part of the directory. And we really didn't see the benefit. And, you know, fast forward years later, I became part of an organization that was very involved with the chamber. We had collaborations and partnerships. I came to networking things. I joined one of the groups. And since then I've been part of different committees, and it's a very different, you know, amount of benefit that you get. And it really is, you know, what you put into it, you get out of it. You know, if you join these things, if you put in some time, it's about the relationship building, and it's a huge network of wonderful people. And if you don't get involved as a member, you don't get nearly as much out of it. So definitely, for those of you who are watching, it's recommended, not only chamber membership, but also chamber involvement. It does so much. So now I don't know if any of you, I can't see at the same time the Facebook Live. So if anybody's asking questions there, they are lost on me. But if you're connected here and have a question, if you want to raise your hand, or I think you all can unmute yourselves at points if you wanted to ask anything. Everybody's being shy. This is the thing I realized, is that when you host things about 2:30 in the afternoon, everybody needs a little shot of Starbucks beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But that connectivity,
What's that?
I was just going to say that connectivity is so important, because I don't care whether you're a boomer like myself, or whether you're a new millennium, or what phase you're in, you want to build relationships. It's the best way to grow your business, to start your business, to continue your business down the line. I've had relationships that I kind of lost track with 5 years down the line. They came back and were a major support.
So Michelle, thank you for sitting by so patiently. I'm glad you're here. You represent the Micro Enterprise Council. So can you tell people what a micro enterprise is and why it's important that they have their own council?
Yes, absolutely. So a micro business or a micro enterprise is the very smallest of businesses. So it might be a solopreneur, it could be an independent contractor, it could be a freelancer, or it could be an entrepreneur who has employees or contractors that he works with, but it's generally 5 employees or less. So it's the very smallest of businesses. But small but mighty is what we want to believe. And so we focus on helping those businesses get the firm foundation that they need with practical help that they can implement, whether they're just starting their business and they need to know the process of starting their business, like where do you go for licensing and who do I need to speak to next and what do I do for taxes and how do I get my EIN number, EIN being your employer identification number.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, you know, that's part of it, is helping startups get a firm foundation underneath them, help them to get some of the practicalities of business taken care of, because a lot of people, when they start a business, they're like, I'm really, really good at this thing. So they decide they're going to start a business around it, but they have no clue how to do accounting, for instance, or maybe they're not a good marketer, or they can't build a website, or, you know, any number of things that go into that. Well, we can help connect, and that's through the Microenterprise Council and larger through the chamber. We can help connect you with the professionals that can help you along that way. So connecting you with bankers, connecting you with, you know, how to get financing for your business. Maybe you need to apply for a microloan so that you can build your first website. I mean, there's any number of things that we can do to help you along the way. And there's really kind of 3 stages of micro businesses that we try to help. So we try to help the startups, the ones that are just getting started, and you've got this great idea that you're going to go do this thing, but you haven't really started your business yet. Then we also focus on those who are few years, they've got a few years under their belt, but you know, when you go and you apply for your business license, they don't hand you an owner's manual and say, okay, here's the list of all the things that you're going to do to start your business, right? So you get a few years in and you realize you don't know what you don't know. And maybe you need some bits and pieces. Maybe you didn't hire an accountant right away, but now you need one. Maybe you didn't need financing in the beginning, but now you do need to talk to a banker. So we helped out there too. And then later on, you get a foundation under you. You have few employees, but now you've got human resources concerns. You've got, you want to grow your business beyond 5 employees, or maybe you want to buy some commercial property to move into a larger office, or you want to open satellite offices, or you want, say you're a restaurant owner and you know, now you had this little deli and it was just you and these 4 or 5 other employees, and now you want to open a second deli 1 town over. We can help you navigate all of those things and get you connected to the right people along the way.
Excellent. So as our micro enterprise specialist here, can you tell me, and I know you and I are both you know, somewhat solopreneurs, what are micro businesses facing right now? I know we talked a little bit earlier about, you know, some of the relief programs and how, you know, we don't always fit into the boxes for those types of things, but as the head of the council of that committee for the chamber, what are you able to do now for those really small businesses who may not have a payroll to protect or fit into the EIDL, which I'm not sure I know what that stands for, but the other business protection loan that the SBA has put out. So what is the Committee on the Chamber able to do sort of instantly when crisis hits and it's affecting so many really small businesses?
Right. So that's something that we've really pivoted to try and address during this time. And a lot of it, I mean, we're all experiencing it to some extent or another. We're being inundated with emails. There's all sorts of information on the news and coming from all different kinds of sources. And not all of that information is always appropriate to a micro business. nor is it accurate in a lot of ways. And part of that is just because the rules keep changing. This is a situation that nobody's ever faced before. And so there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of people just kind of feeling their way through and doing the best they can. I firmly believe that we're all doing the best we can. But in the meantime, doing the best we can doesn't pay the rent or make payroll or any of those things that you need to do in order to keep your business going. So we pivoted by we're working on curating some of those resources and distilling them down into a meaningful way that is easily understood and acted upon. And that's one piece of it. I do see down the road where as businesses start to struggle more, it's going to be more and more important to keep collaborating with the local and regional agencies here, like economic development, like Experience Old Town Warrenton, like the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation, and all these different organizations who are coming together on a local and regional level to help the businesses here in the area. So for instance, Fauquier Economic Development just retooled their microloan program for local and regional businesses here in Fauquier County. That's going to be really super important to a micro business because we as the really small businesses are getting lost in the mix of the EIDL and the PPP, which are the federal loans. And I get that. We're so small that we just fall through the cracks. And it is what it is. So what do we do to work around that? And I think that partnering with and staying in connection with these county and local agencies who are stepping forward to fill that gap is going to be the key for the really small businesses moving forward.
Well, thank you for that. And I have to say, you know, I think I mentioned earlier, I am a chamber member as well through the Department of Economic Development and the programs that we run, but also a member of the Micro Enterprise Council. I keep on to say Micro Enterprise Symposium, but that is the annual event we hold in the fall, the Micro Enterprise Council. And I know Michelle does a really fantastic job with that. Joe, you have, or Chris, either one of you, I know you have another committee, which I fail to remember the name right now, but basically it's a government relations committee. I think Guy is in charge of it or a member of it. Maybe you could talk just briefly about what that committee does and what they're doing right now to address the concerns of today.
Sure. It's actually, I kind of alluded to it as the economic development, but it's actually a economic development legislative affairs committee.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I started years ago, we had two separate committees. We had an economic development committee and a legislative affairs committee. And we realized that in our fairly rural community, most legislative issues that come up that a chamber needs to address are really focused on more town and county, more local, locally focused. And most of them have an economic development strong component to them. So we decided to combine both of those committees. Very vibrant committee. We do a lot of connectivity. We actually have folks from economic development, from community development that attend the committee meetings. We meet once a month. And you know, we are focused on the issues that are going on. So that committee would vet any issues addressing the business community, and then pass that along to our executive committee and board. But we also do a few events throughout the year. We 2 years ago, we started an economic summit in Fauquier, where the first year we were focused on infrastructure. Last year was more focused on tourism, and we had a representative from the Virginia Economic Development Partnership that was one of our presenters. We also do 2 legislative events per year, where in December we bring our state legislators in and have them present to us the bills they're looking to either present or support during the General Assembly. And we combine that with a state of the county and state of the town. And then in usually late April, early May, usually, nothing's usual this year, we do a legislative wrap up where we bring the state delegation back to let us know what bills they got passed, what bills supported, what bills didn't get passed during that General Assembly. We also, during election years, we partner with other local groups and put on candidate forums where we bring in elected officials and their opponents to have a discussion, not necessarily a debate, but we have a facilitated discussion so that I've never been a believer, and we don't as a chamber believe that our chamber should support one candidate over the other. What we would rather be is a conduit for information so that not just our chamber members, but our community can hear the information, hear the answers to the questions from each one of these candidates and make their own decision. So it's a very robust committee and pretty well attended committee. I mean, we've had committee meetings where we've had 30 plus people in the room.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, good. The last thing, unless anybody else had a question for somebody here, was to go through one by one. Chris, we'll come back to you. I know you've been sitting very patiently for a while now. If you would give one, what I call the silver lining thought, just your end thought of this session of what's hopeful about business. You know, I know we're in a situation right now that a lot of people aren't seeing hope in, but you, I think, and I know I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things won't be that bleak. I think things are going to get better soon. I'm seeing a lot of people being really creative and helpful and involved. So if you could, one good silver lining business thought for the community.
Wow, and I think, Jen, I think you just gave it for me, which is
There you go.
people being creative, and I've seen that. I've seen, like you've mentioned, I've seen people being creative. We always kind of have to say you got to be ready to pivot and change and adapt almost every day. Almost
Hourly
every
in some
day.
cases.
And one of the amazing things with the people that I've worked with is they're creative, they're dynamic, they're reaching out and sharing ideas and resources. So I don't know, and no one knows what how we're going to come out of this and what it's going to look like on the other side. It'll probably be different in some ways, and I think business will probably be done in slightly different ways. So we got to see what that is, but we got to be ready to be creative and pivot and be ready to adapt. The nice thing about that, the negative side of being a micro enterprise or a small business is, what Michelle was talking about. Sometimes you fall through the cracks. Sometimes you get left out. The flip side of that and the positive is that you are more ready to kind of adapt and change and be flexible. And so for me, that's the bright side. That's the thing I would focus on. I know it's not everything. I know it doesn't pay the rent, but I think that's it. I really think that's it. Is just we don't know what it's going to look like. So be ready, be creative, and share your ideas. There's some great people out there who are ready to help.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yeah,
Your silver
so
lining message.
Chris kind of, he sent me a slow pitch. So yeah, that is the flip side of it is, things are tough right now. And in a lot of ways, small business has kind of gotten left in the dust. Okay, that's fine. We're entrepreneurs and we went into business because at our core, we don't necessarily need to follow the rules. We break out of things. We're braver than most. We jump into the deep end and we paddle around until we figure it out. And that is the hallmark of an entrepreneur. This is going to define a lot of small businesses. in that it's going to create opportunities to innovate and to get better. No matter what you go through in life, personally or professionally, you have two choices. You always have choices, but your choices will lead you to either become bitter or they will allow you to become better. And most entrepreneurs are optimists. And I really think that most of us choose to get better. We're agile. The upside of not having a lot of employees is we're not responsible for a lot of other people. So we can pivot, we can try something new, we can do a lot of things because we aren't tied down by a lot of the responsibilities of bigger organizations. So we get to go experiment with new things and figure it out along the way. And there's a lot of resilience and a lot of freedom in that. So that's my silver lining, is that it's okay. You know, I'm a super small business. So if I was going to get some federal assistance, it wasn't going to be much anyway. So what? So what got me here over the last 9 years? I've survived a whole lot worse. So it's just time to get to work and do the next thing, and then do the next thing after that until I get to the end goal.
Excellent. And Joe, we're coming around to you now. You've got a silver lining for us?
If they left anything for me, but no, I'll
be creative.
I'll fly on Michelle's coattails to a certain extent. One advantage I've always said that we have is being a smaller chamber. We don't have a lot of like some of the Northern Virginia chambers, and they're all good friends of mine, but we don't have a lot of big businesses in our ear trying to direct the ship, if you want to call it that. We are 85% of our members are 5 or less employees. So we're very focused on that. But I guess my silver lining that's coming out of all of this, and the Zoom call I was on that delayed me, and I apologize again, was a lot of my chamber execs from around the Commonwealth. We were on the call with the Virginia Chamber, and they are already working on a recovery plan. And so it's good to see that people are looking towards the future from a recovery standpoint. But the point I want to make with that was my silver lining is the partnerships. The partnerships we have on a local level, on a state level, and on a federal level. And that's something that will drive us all through this and onto the brighter side, if you want to call it that. We have, and those don't happen overnight. We've taken years to build those up, and we're all in this together, and we're all going to get out of this together, and we are Fauquier strong.
I like it. And you stepped all over my silver lining, which is all about partnerships. So it's a great segue, though. But it's becoming an age where we are really. And I feel like I'm one of these people who's guilty of it. I wasn't all the way in the 21st century technology-wise. And now we are learning to Zoom. And my silver lining today is I think I just Zoomed and Facebook streamed live at the same time. So that's my own personal triumph for the day. But what we're realizing is that with all of it, thank you, Michelle. With all of these new virtual skills that we're learning and having to be virtual because we can't be together in person, it makes our relationships so much more meaningful in our partnerships. I know I've seen just over the last couple of weeks, partnering with other consultants who do similar work to me, so that we're checking on each other. How's your business? What are you doing? Are you finding success? Are you falling down? What can I do to help? As solopreneurs, we weren't that strong before in trying to help each other out, really reaching out, at least weekly to see how each other is doing. And I feel like, sort of bringing out humanity, because we can't be together. We're all being kinder and checking on each other more. And that's happening professionally and personally. And I see that as a huge silver lining, that we're counting on our relationships more, and we're nurturing better business relationships, I think, throughout this. And so I want to thank all of you for being here with me. Chris Coots, actually Dr. Christopher Coots, Provost of LFCC and Fauquier Chamber Chairman of the board. I keep wanting to call you President, Chairman. Thank you. And
Joe.
Joe Martin, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and Michelle Coe, Chairman of the Micro Enterprise Council. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.